Bezrat Hashem, Chok L'Yisrael this morning, Sanhedrin 21b. The Gemara is speaking about this morning about writing yourself a Sefer Torah. As you know, we have 613 mitzvot. First mitzvah, Peru Urvu, to have children. Machloket Bet Shammai Bet Hillel, what's it mean to have children? Bet Shammai says either you have 2 boys or 2 girls. You can have either more than 2 boys and 2 girls. And Bet Hillel says you have to have 1 boy and 1 girl. Everything else is extra, but at least to have 1 boy and 1 girl. So this is the first mitzvah of the Torah. Last mitzvah of the Torah, number 613, to write yourself a Sefer Torah. Like it says, Ve'ata kitvu lachem et hashira azot. Now write for yourself. So each one in his life, he should try to write himself a Sefer Torah. Usually people write it for in honor of their parents, in honor of somebody. Why? You can write it for you. As you're alive, write it for yourself. Why you have to write it for somebody else? Yes, it's a mitzvah to write it for a parent, a deceased parent, or a brother or sister, whatever. But write it for yourself. And if you're able to write 2, one for yourself and 1 for your parents, right? The same thing, Rabbi Yaakov Yosef said, when we have a baby boy, we usually look for a sandak. Oh Hashem, you have first baby boy, you give it to your father. Your second baby boy, you give it to your father-in-law. You have a third baby boy, you give it to a rabbi of the community, right? A rabbi you're very close to. Who do you give the 4th one? Give it to yourself. Yes, we're trying to give it to rabbis, but who knows, maybe you're not going to get the mitzvah of sitting as a sandak. If you have children, you have no problem. Probably one of your children is going to give it to do that. But if you don't have, so maybe think ahead. Take the mitzvah for yourself. After you'll think about somebody else. Over here, the same thing. Do you know if your children are going to write a Sefer Torah for you? You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen, right? Write a Sefer Torah when you're alive, because this is the mitzvah 613. And the Gemara this morning is teaching us about the kings of Israel. Each king had a mitzvah to write himself a Sefer Torah. And the Gemara is telling us this morning, Tana ubilvat shelo yitnaeh b'shel avotav. If the father of the king wrote a Sefer Torah, I'm taking an example, King Solomon, his father, King David, a tzaddik, Yesod Olam, he for sure wrote a Sefer Torah, right? So could King Solomon says, but my father wrote already a Sefer Torah for the family, I don't need to write a second one? No. Vekatav lo et Sefer HaTorah, he has to write himself a Sefer Torah, even if his father wrote one and it's for the family. Each Yehudi has a chiyuv, means it's one of the 630 mitzvot, if it's possible for him to write himself a Sefer Torah. And says Rava, not only for a king. Rava Amar Rava, Afal pi sheinichu lo avotav laadam Sefer Torah, even if your parents left you a Sefer Torah for after they passed away, they left it, mitzvah lichtov mishalo, it's a mitzvah to write on your home. Let me explain you something about the mitzvah of writing Sefer Torah. First of all, we're looking for a sofer kasher, writes nicely, right? With klaf mihudar, right? Amudim, the poles on what the Sefer Torah is going to be attached to, the mihudar, a beautiful robe, everything is good, right? What do you do with the Sefer Torah? So you pray in a shul and you want to give it to a shul. You cannot give to the shul as a present. You are lending it to them. Why? If you give the shul as a present, so it's not yours anymore, you didn't do the mitzvah. The mitzvah is only when you lend it to a shul or to a bet midrash and you tell them, you make a contract and you write, my name is so and so, Ben that and that, I live on that and that street, and I wrote a Sefer Torah and I'm willing to lend it to the community. On the day that I'm going to leave the city or the town, or on the day that I will want, for any reason, I'm opening a synagogue myself, for any reason, I would want the Sefer Torah back. I have the right to have no objections and I'll be able to take it. And the Sefer Torah would always remain in the property of my parents, of myself and my parents and my family, which means the Sefer Torah is going to be always yours. You cannot give it to anybody as a present, right? Why? Once you give it, you lost the mitzvah. So it's yours and you're lending it, right? And this needs to be written on a shtar, on a contract. Now, it says over here that the king had a special mitzvah, more than any other Jew. Every Jew has a mitzvah to write himself a Sefer Torah, but the king has a mitzvah to write himself two Sefer Torah. One Sefer Torah, says the Gemara, that he's going to put in the Echal, in the synagogue, in the Echal, right? He's going to put the Sefer Torah. And the other one, Shenichneset v'yotzet imo. The other one is a Sefer Torah which is constantly with him, 24 hours, going out and going in, eating, right, whatever he does. The Sefer Torah is always with him. And how is it possible always going out? Says the Gemara, Ose kemin kamea. He writes it on a parchment and attaches it on his hand. The smallest Sefer Torah today in the world is the size of a mezuzah, right? And even that, it's a little bit hard to carry that a whole day. So comes one of the commentaries on the Talmud, right? Rabbi Shmuel Sternson. And he's telling us that what the Gemara meant and what the Torah meant, v'katav lo, that he has to write for him a Torah that goes in and out, that did not mean the whole Sefer Torah. That meant only the portion of Parshat Kitetze, which speaks about the king with all the mitzvot. He cannot have many wives. He cannot have too much money. He cannot have too many horses, right? This parasha, which speaks about the king and his laws, is written on a parchment. It's really a size of a mezuzah, a small mezuzah, and that he can attach in his hand, going in and out. But the Gemara warns him, the only place he cannot go with is Chad Shalom to the bathroom, right? I would think he has to go anywhere. Says the Gemara, no. He has to go only to places where real Sefer Torah can go. In a bathroom, no one takes a Sefer Torah. No one takes a book, right? So in this case, he would leave it outside. Coming out, Netilat Yadayim, he will put it back. So to tell you, Rabotai, whoever could write himself a Sefer Torah, he wants to honor his parents, that's great. He wants to honor himself, that's even greater. But don't forget to make the contract so that Sefer Torah always stays in your belonging, and you can do a mitzvah to lend it to shuls and to Batei Knisiyot, Batei Midrashot, so they can read it. Have a great day. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.